What's up, you guys? It's Low Beauty Demon, and I'm back to talk about more internet BS. We are talking about the Creepshow art situation because since I last posted, it's been about 4 or 5 days. I have no idea. So much stuff comes out. Literally by the minute, something new develops. But before we get into that, first, I want to thank you guys all for clicking on my video. If you like what you see here, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. I don't know, it's down there or something. So you get a notification every time I post because I do not have a regular upload schedule. Also, before we get into this, I do want to shout out the Trevor Project because it is Pride Month. So happy Pride, everyone. And the Trevor Project is a help crisis hotline for LGBTQI+ identifying teens who are going through either depression, suicidal thoughts, you name it, whatever struggles. The Trevor Project is there to help, so I will put that link down below if you or someone you know could benefit from reaching out, or if you would like to donate money or time. And everything I say in this video is alleged. I have to say that for legal purposes. So anyone who has ever interacted with Shannon in any way, shape, or form, whether it is doing a collab, they just had conversations, whatnot, tweeted back and forth, been harassed by her, they have made videos at this point. It is astronomical, the amount of videos. I actually will go and search for Creepshow Art's page just to see what her subscriber count is like and see what videos are still up. And it's impossible to find her channel because so many videos are coming out. And the weird thing is almost every creator is like, oh my god, I had no idea. She was just so nice to me. Well, that's what happens when somebody love bombs the shit out of you. You are completely blown away when they are revealed to be a shitty person. Like I said, a ton of people came out with videos, but there were 3 videos in particular that I feel like were the biggest and most anticipated, and those were the videos of Ready to Glare, Smokey Glow, and Tehmimi. Ready to Glare's video came out first, and everybody was flocking to it right away. To be honest, she seemed very uncomfortable. I feel like this wasn't something that she was ready to do, but she felt like she needed to because there was so much pressure from the public. And I said in my last video, I don't think there should have been any pressure on anybody because they're all going through this situation. And if you follow Ready to Glare, you know she does struggle with a lot of different mental issues all the time. And this is just something that would be a huge blow to her because I know she was struggling a lot. So I hope she's doing better. I hope at least maybe doing that video and getting all the support that she got was cathartic. She does talk about how they were real life friends. They actually met in person before the pandemic. They would send each other gifts. They would talk a lot. She does also mention that a couple days before all of this became public, Shannon just randomly sent her roses, which is a love bombing technique to get her on your side. Ready to Glare kind of says in her video is kind of weird. She didn't know what to make of it. It was kind of okay, is this a genuine, sincere gesture of friendship, or what is this? Some people online, I think, were reading too much into it, it was a symbol of the demise of their relationship, but I think, to me, it was just kind of a tactic that Shannon was using with Ready to Glare. Other than that, to me, there wasn't really a whole lot of new information. It was just kind of confirming what we all kind of knew, which was she supported Shannon in the beginning because she didn't know what was going on, and then quickly retracted that support once she realized what was happening. And then Ready to Glare does also give a little backstory, like I've talked about, how this kind of thing has already sort of happened to her, where somebody was doing posts on lolcow about her, and I mean, it was very triggering for her, of course. My question is though, how does this happen twice? Now, I'm not blaming her at all for having 2 shitty friends do this, but it's just lightning very rarely strikes the same place twice, and to have 2 different friends do the same exact shit is kind of crazy to me. So she's got the worst luck, and I would not be surprised if she just does not make friends anymore ever again, at least on YouTube, because they all seem like shitty people to her. So the next video was by Smokey Glow, or Hannah, and before I even get into this video, I really don't know how she is able to rock a messy bun with a headband and always just look cute. I look terrible and she just looks adorable, so I'm jealous. She does talk about how they were friends, but they weren't really great friends. They had had conversations about anxiety and mental health and whatnot, but it wasn't a close friendship. Initially, she had been, I guess, shouted out in a sense by Shannon in a video about, what did she say? It was the Rewired Soul, which I'm not even going to go into that guy. Very quickly in Smokey Glow's video, she addresses the personal Instagram account. Now, in those leaked DM Instagram stories that Nick Diorio stupidly posted, it did have Shannon's personal private Instagram account. And I did see screenshots somewhere that someone had taken of the friends list of that Instagram, and there were people like Smokey Glow was on there, and that specific screenshot was being shared around. She has since unfriended that, and she did want to publicly state what that was all about, that was not a sock account. That was a private personal account. Everybody that was following that account knew it was Shannon, so there was no like confusion about what that was, and that was not by any means support for all of the shit that Shannon was doing behind the scenes. And she gives a rundown, just like every video gives a rundown of what happened in this situation, where we started from the hacking story all the way to the Emily Artful coming forward and releasing her video. Smokey Glow does echo what a lot of people say, is questioning, was what we had genuine? Were the conversations we had real? Was the empathy that you expressed to me genuine? Or were you taking all of the things that I was saying, posting about it in forums, or laughing about me with other creators? It creates a lot of insecurity and doubt. Smokey Glow does say something that I have definitely felt and tried to express in my videos. I maybe didn't say it like outright, but every person that she's interacted with and became friends with is a victim in a sense. I saw somebody, I'll post a screenshot here because I'm pretty sure I have a screenshot of it. Abusers also groom their friends so that when their behavior is exposed, they can't believe it because this was such a nice person, or they didn't see it like that, or they'll just flat out not believe it. And I definitely think that's what's happening here, especially with all the love bombing. She also says she doesn't think that Shannon can come back to YouTube, and she doesn't think Shannon deserves to come back to YouTube. She echoes that the audience deserves an apology because the audience is just as hurt as all of the creators. I read the comments that you guys leave in my videos and in all of the videos that are about this. It's just really heartbreaking because a lot of people did build really strong parasocial relationships with Creepshow art, and she was a lot of people's comfort channel. They felt safe, and she completely destroyed that for hundreds of thousands of people and people that thought they were close personal friends with her. And Smokey Glow echoes what Emily says in her video, that sometimes people need to hit rock bottom before they can get better. And this is definitely a rock bottom, but it's up to Shannon to really be able to see it for what it is. Now, I was actually waiting to make this video because I wanted to see Tehmimi's video. I like Tehmimi because she does really dive deep, and I feel like she can put emotions aside a little bit to really get facts. So once again, of course, she just recaps everything just like everybody else. She gives a lot more like receipts and stuff. She also just says flat out she doesn't think Amy exists. I'm still kind of on the fence. Like, there's a good possibility that, you know, I don't actually, as I'm saying it out loud, no. So Tehmimi would talk about her friendship with Creepshow. Although it was very short, it did feel like a real genuine friendship. However, she would feel a lot of insecurities just based on kind of, I would assume, like coldness on Shannon's part. There were times where they would talk a lot, and then it almost felt like she was annoying Shannon, and then she wouldn't hear from her for weeks or months or, you know, extended periods of time, to the point where Tehmimi would think, I'm annoying her, I'm just not gonna bother her. And then Shannon would come in with all the compliments and the I love yous, which Tehmimi even now recognizes as love bombing. And I can tell when she says this in the video, she feels some sort of way about falling victim to love bombing. Like, you know, maybe she feels stupid or guilty. And if you happen to watch this video, Tehmimi, which I kind of doubt it, but if you happen to, none of this is your fault. So don't feel guilty about falling for somebody's manipulation. And then Tehmimi mentioned that even a couple days before all of the stuff came out, she did talk about there was a hacker situation and kind of released that info, and then proceeded to essentially love bomb all of the creators closer to her, including like the Flowers to Ready to Glare. And she didn't give too many specifics into other things because she's pretty respectful as to people's stories and whose she can and cannot tell. Something else that Tehmimi brought up that was very interesting was all of the other hacking attempts that had been done to Shannon's Twitter when she had one, and her Instagram, and I think even her YouTube. YouTube channel. She would brag about how she had two-factor verification, she had very difficult passwords, and she would change them frequently, and she would usually post screenshots of the alerts coming to her phone or to her devices and call these hackers stupid and basically like flex like, I have two-factor and really difficult passwords, how are you gonna even think to get in? But somehow this person got in. Two-factor verification is a lot safer, yes, for sure. Now, it is possible to hack two-factor verification. I'm just gonna say that. It's not impossible, but it is improbable because two-factor verification usually means that you'll put in your password information and then it will ask to reach out to your device, usually your phone or maybe another tablet or something like that. And then from there, it can ask you a multitude of things. Like there's so many different questions. I highly recommend two-factor verification. It's not impossible, but it is improbable for two-factor verification to get hacked just because you, the user, receive a notification quickly. That was just a big long rant about two-factor verification, but kids, please do use two-factor verification for everything that you can and always use secure passwords. Tehmimi ran through a list of hypocrisies that she decided she was going to call Shannon out on, which I lived for. She did bring up a lolcow post that was not confirmed to be by Shannon, but she had this sneaking suspicion that it was about herself and it called her annoying. However, it was the thumbnail or the video link that was shared in, and I'm not sure which it was, but it was Tehmimi's video about Destry Smith, which Creepshow had also promoted that same video on her Instagram story because she was afraid to do a video because it was very personal to her. She had some friends who were victims of Destry Smith. So it kind of struck a nerve with her and made her suspect that was Shannon. She does go through and address some of them, like the amount of money that they said that Creepshow made in the post did coincide with what she had told Tehmimi and other creators she made. She did also highlight that she would lie and tell different creators different things about the frequency of how often she used lolcow, anywhere from it's totally blocked and I can't even view it to I only use it to get receipts. And it would seem that Shannon has in fact changed her phone number completely without telling any of her friends, because she did have an iPhone and she stated somewhere that she had an iPhone. When you have iPhones, you have iMessages that are blue bubbles. Now when people send messages to that phone, they get green bubbles, which would indicate that that number has been disconnected from that model of phone, and it could possibly be back into like, usually phone numbers go into like a little quarantine for like 90 days before they get reassigned. So right now everybody's text messages are just going into a void for a couple days before they just are completely deleted. I will say, if you are somebody who has that phone number and is trying to get a hold of Shannon and you keep sending text messages and you're not getting anything, after a couple months, I would just stop reaching out to that number. If you do get a hold of somebody, it might not be Shannon. It could be some totally different person who does not know anything about the situation. And then on Twitter, Emily Artful has been literally posting nonstop. People have been supplying her with different bits of information, receipts, confirming things, helping her put the pieces of the puzzle together. And it was confirmed by Ashley Lilly and other people that Shannon and her husband or her boyfriend, people aren't even sure if they're married anymore. Like, we can't believe anything that she ever said. It's kind of weird. But it is confirmed that Shannon and Anthony did share a phone for quite a while, so they both had access to the same things. On Twitter, a user by the name of Kevin Coulter VO, they came out with a whole Twitter thread that I'm going to read to you, and it is the real nail in the coffin for this entire situation. I never thought I'd find myself related to a situation like this, but I am absolutely in the business of holding people accountable for their actions. So I'd like to share what I know about the situation between Creepshow Art and Emily Artful. In the interest of preventing doxing, I'm not going to include any information that might put someone in danger, but if it becomes necessary for either a court case or if things get wildly out of control, I can provide more specifics. I met Shannon my freshman year of college in 2011. We shared an English class and worked on a group project together. Outside of that, at the time, we didn't have much contact contact. I ended up leaving that school and attending a community college that was close to my hometown. At that school, I ended up meeting my abuser. She ended up completely separating me from my entire support group, and I lost nearly all of my friends. There was a period of a few months where my abuser and I broke up, and this is when I reconnected with Shannon. Shannon ended up at the same community college, saw me on campus, and stopped me to say hi. I was desperate to make new friends, so this seemed like a blessing. She was fine at the beginning, and we'd just hang out and share music, but she became concerning very quickly. It started with her introducing me to Anthony's music. She told me he was her ex, and they were still in a sexual relationship. The way he treated her seemed very unhealthy, and I told her as such, but Shannon was insistent he was good for her. Eventually, she shared one of Anthony's music videos that featured Emily and told me Emily was also Anthony's ex. Shannon told me that Emily was crazy, and Anthony only kept her around because she was a good singer, among other things. For the next while, every time Shannon and I would hang out, she would fixate entirely on Emily. She would point out all of what she perceived as flaws, would talk about how all of her tattoos were related to Anthony somehow. Everything she could to put her down. I thought it was strange to fixate so much on an ex's ex, but I was desperate for anyone to help me out of the situation I was in, so I ignored a lot of the red flags. I haven't really been able to forgive myself for that, especially considering what came next. Shannon began to cyberstalk Emily, first starting by finding her YouTube page. She shared videos with me, and I naively thought that it was harmless and would go no further. But Shannon started looking for her home address, her phone number, or any other information she could find. Shannon told me how she had plans to harass Emily, either by sending her letters or prank calling her home. How she planned to either leave hate messages on her videos or DM her from burner accounts to spread hate. This is when I began to distance myself from Shannon. The distance led me back to my abuser, which is a different story, but one of my last interactions with Shannon was her proudly showing me that Emily had posted a video about closing her YouTube channel because of the harassment she was receiving. Emily talked about how much it hurt to lose something that was so important to her, but she was so anxious and in pain from the targeted harassment that she couldn't continue. It was at that point that I began to cut Shannon off. I felt guilty since that day that I didn't do anything sooner, that I didn't go to the police with what I knew, or at least attempt to talk with Shannon to tell her what she was doing wasn't okay. But I was battling my own demons, and none of that seemed like an option. Over the years, I would occasionally receive cryptic messages from Shannon at weird hours of the night, usually just a single emoji or a strangely written greeting. This caused me to block her on all of my social media. Since then, I deleted or rebranded my online presence to avoid my abuser. But about a year ago, Shannon found all my new accounts and added me with no contact. I used this as an opportunity to confront her with what she did. Screenshots of that in the next tweet. I made a habit to screenshot my actions because my abuser had recently begun to spread incredibly harmful rumors about me. I don't have screenshots of her response because her account has been deleted, but I requested my data from Twitter today to see if I can get it. I will put the screenshots up here so you can pause to read them. I'm not gonna go into them, but they are a lot. Victoria, referenced in that screenshot, is my abuser. I use language that includes myself and past actions because I was afraid of her targeting me if she hadn't changed, and I came out completely confronting her. Shannon's response was to brush off accountability, saying we were just dumb kids. She also insisted that she found me naturally, which didn't make sense as we had no similar circles and I had an even smaller following back then. She immediately said she would block me so I didn't have to be concerned about her, which didn't seem like an action a guiltless person would take. I thought it was over. I didn't know how much she was doing to hurt other people, but it seemed like she never really changed from when I knew her. My heart goes out to everyone she hurt and everyone who thought they could trust her. This is a terrible situation, and if anybody needs an ear, please feel free to reach out. If it becomes necessary, I can reopen my Facebook and try to download the data there, as I believe I have further evidence of Shannon's behavior. But I hope this chapter can close and people can find some way to heal from the damage she has caused. They actually knew her and saw her literally harassing and stalking Emily, trying to find her personal private information to send things to her home and to call her at her home. So the fact that they actually were able to come forward, I hope that they are able to bring more receipts, because in 2021 we're all about the receipts, you know, we need like hard concrete facts. But they are really brave for coming out and telling their story, and they do say that they're going to be trying to get some of this information back, like getting their old Facebook back, and they're going to try and contact Twitter. I don't really know if Twitter's going to have like messages saved, especially if they're old messages. They don't really like to hang on to that data for too long because it takes up space, believe it or not. So that kind of is where we're at with this whole Creepshow art situation. Now, Kevin and Emily and other people are still very active on Twitter, posting things that they have found or connections that they're making. It's a lot. There's something developing every hour, I feel like. Sometimes I do retweet some of this stuff, so if you're interested, go check out my Twitter. It is RawBeautyDemon. But for the most part, I feel like this story has kind of come to completion a little bit, especially with Kevin coming out with their story corroborating a lot of what Emily has said and, you know, all this other stuff. So I think for now, this might be my last video on this situation unless something crazy comes out. But I did want to give you my final thoughts from all of this insanity. I mean, at this point, more information could come out, but I don't think it could get any worse. Like, it's just more information that is piling on top of itself, but the damage is done. It's like at this point, it almost feels like we're beating a dead horse in that sense. Because now at this point, every single person she's ever interacted with is coming out. Everybody's connecting the dots. They're comparing notes. They're sharing stories. This is gonna be impossible for her to fix this situation and come back as Creepshow art or come back in any capacity, really. Going back to one of the videos I said I talked about cringy, and she asked the question, why? And that stuck with me. Why did Shannon do this? What were the motives behind this? Why was she targeting somebody that she really didn't know? And I think it comes down to a few things, but I think overall it really comes down to control. This gave her something to control in her life. If we're taking Emily's story and we're really looking at it, it would appear that Shannon probably didn't feel like she had a lot of control in her relationship. Here, this guy that she's crazy about is obsessed with his ex and is trying to control his ex. So a way for them to bond is for her to start controlling his ex too. And eventually she gets to take it over. It gives her some sort of control in her life where it doesn't feel like she had much. It also kind of puts the sharing one phone thing into perspective too, because I don't know about you, but that honestly gives me like couple sharing one Facebook vibes. And I can almost see Shannon as the kind of person that could look at somebody who is a toxic person and kind of have this like sick Sid and Nancy type romanticized view of how the relationship could be with them, which if you don't know Sid and Nancy, that relationship didn't end well for either of them. At this point, it's pretty much well thought between everybody talking about this that Shannon's entire channel, Creepshow Art, was made just to harass and bully and, you know, stalk Emily. So she can't even come back to this channel because now it's just completely tainted. It was made with malice. Like, that's wild. I mean, what if it wasn't even her idea to start her channel? What if it was Anthony's and he was like, this is a great idea. You should totally start this channel and then you can be like copying Emily and kind of like freaking her out and stuff and she'll never know that it's you. But then all of a sudden her channel started taking off and she was like, whoa, okay, well, maybe I can do this. It's such a crazy thing to wrap your brain around, to think that somebody is capable of this kind of thing. It's very much a true crime story, 100%. One question I see a lot in like live streams and on comments and things like that is, how does somebody have time for this? Like, Shannon has a full-time job. She has a YouTube channel that she's maintaining and she's making content for, and she's posting on other social media accounts, and she is working with other creators and talking to them behind the scenes. How does she have time to do all this posting and shit talking and straight up harassing of other people? My only response to that is people make time for the hobbies that they enjoy. You can't say that she didn't get any sort of pleasure out of this because it was going on for 10 years. Nobody continues to do anything for that amount of time if they don't enjoy it in some way, or if it is a job that they are just like in, you know. There's no way she would keep this up for an entire fucking decade if there wasn't some sick pleasure coming out of it. And like I said, I think that pleasure is control. Obviously, this is a very self-destructive pattern of behavior, because you can't think like, I'm just gonna post on all these forums, a lolcow, and she's probably on like Kiwi Farms and things like that, and eventually and not be caught ever, or that these situations like with Emily Artful and other people were not gonna come to light. Some people are speculating that she might try to come back if she just like ditches her husband, boyfriend. I don't know. See, I don't know if they're married or not. Now I'm like questioning everything. Some might say she's gonna come out and just throw the victim card down and say, you know, hey, I was a victim in this situation too. I was controlled and manipulated. This kind of stuff wasn't my choice. And to be honest, I could totally believe that she was a victim in this situation. However, that does not absolve her from the actions that she took. She still hurt countless people and manipulated her friends for no reason. Maybe the Emily Artful situation was a pattern of control in her relationship, but that did not go out to her friends. He wasn't obsessed with her friends. She's the one that went and shit talked all of her friends, on top of the targeted harassment of Emily Artful. And honestly, I don't even know how many other creators, because now I'm thinking of all these creators that she's had problems with, or that are connected to people that she's had problems with, who have been targeted with harassment, doxing, people trying to hack them. And it's just crazy, because now I'm like, is Shannon responsible for all of this? Is this really her? Like, what's going on? She might have all of the time in the world to do this, because like I said, when people like hobbies, they will find time to do them. With all that said, everything is out there. There will be more information that comes out, but unless something huge and concrete comes out, or Shannon herself makes a statement, this will probably be a pause on the If You Seek Amy Creepshow art series, just because I don't want to jump on video every time somebody does a new tweet piecing something together. Like I said, go follow me on Twitter at RawBeautyDemon. I tweet lots of random stuff out, but I have been tweeting out stuff about this too, sharing tweets from Emily and other creators. Follow me there if you do want some updates from time to time. And with that, that is today's video. Remember, if you like this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I have not forget about my 500 subscriber giveaway. I'm just still kind of shocked that I have so many subscribers now, and like, thank you guys. You have no idea. I'm just really, really shocked. And yeah. All right, you guys, I will see you later. Bye.